You ever hear silence so deep, it feels like it's listening? June 3rd, 2011. The air in Bloomington, Indiana was thick with summer heat. Soft winds, quiet streets, the kind of night that wraps around you like a blanket. The kind of night that feels familiar, safe. But that illusion would crack just before dawn. She wasn't supposed to vanish. Lauren Spierer was 20 years old, a college student full of life, dreams, and late-night laughter. That night she danced, drank, joked with friends. She lost her shoes, left her phone behind, and walked out barefoot into the early morning dark. No one stopped her, no one followed, and no one ever saw her again. There were no screams, no alarms, only a girl stepping into the stillness and becoming part of it. She vanished between streetlights, between timelines, between truths. And what followed was not just a missing persons investigation. It was a spiral. Friends who stopped talking, surveillance footage that never surfaced, cadaver dogs that barked at dumpsters already emptied, and theories from tragic accidents to calculated cover-ups to something that defies explanation. In the days that followed, Bloomington turned into a ghost town, not empty of people, but full of fear. Every corner whispered the same question: how does someone just disappear? But this story isn't just about Lauren, it's about silence and what happens when people who know something say nothing. It's about how grief mutates when there's no body to bury, how mystery becomes memory, and memory becomes myth, because some disappearances don't fade over time. They get louder, and Lauren's still echoes through college dorms, into Reddit threads, into dreams. They say time heals all wounds, but what if time is the wound? Welcome to Whims and Whispers, where unsolved stories breathe beneath the surface, and where every whisper has a weight. Tonight, we follow the final steps of Lauren Spierer, from her last text to the punch that erased a memory, to the silence that swallowed her name. And we ask not just what happened, but why no one can or will answer. Thursday, June 2nd, 2011, the last normal day. Lauren Spierer, a rising junior at Indiana University, spends a warm summer day like many college students between semesters, relaxed, buzzing with freedom, and looking forward to a fun night out. She texts her boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe, who's not in town. He's back home in New York. They exchange casual updates. She tells him she plans to go out that night. She's wearing a white tank top, black leggings, and a pair of ballet flats. She does her makeup. Her hair's loose and curled. Lauren is petite, just under 5 feet tall, and weighs around 90 pounds. With a known heart condition, long QT syndrome, mixing alcohol or stimulants is dangerous. But that night, no one stops her. 12:30 a.m., Kilroy's Sports Bar. Lauren heads to Kilroy's Sports Bar, a popular student hotspot near campus. She's seen on surveillance footage, entering with a group of friends. She uses a fake ID to get in. The group includes Corey Rossman, a friend she's seen with multiple times that evening, David Rohn, Corey's roommate, others whose names will become central in later theories. Lauren appears happy, energetic, though clearly intoxicated. 2 2:27 a.m. A strange exit. Around 2:27 a.m., Lauren and Corey leave Kilroy's through a back alley exit. She's no longer wearing her shoes. Her phone, purse, and keys are left behind at the bar. No one knows why she leaves without them. Some say she was too drunk to notice. Others believe something or someone caused her to rush. The only certainty is she disappears from public view, barefoot, vulnerable, and intoxicated. 2:30 to 2:45 a.m. Arrival at Smallwood Plaza Apartments, Corey's building. Lauren and Corey arrive at Smallwood Plaza, Corey's apartment complex. Surveillance footage shows them stumbling into the lobby. She leans on walls. He slurs. They attempt to take the elevator, but something happens in the hallway. Corey is confronted by another student who punches him, allegedly for bringing Lauren home intoxicated. This punch, Corey later claims, causes memory loss. From this point forward, he says, he remembers nothing about the rest of the night. That convenient amnesia will become one of the most controversial parts of the entire case. 2:50 a.m. Transfer to Jay Rosenbaum's apartment. Lauren is now walked down the hall to the apartment of Jay Rosenbaum, another male friend. Corey reportedly lies down, incapacitated. Lauren is left with Jay. Jay later says Lauren appeared intoxicated but coherent. He claims she fell earlier and had a bruise under her eye. Lauren insists she's fine. They talk for a while. Then Jay says she decides to walk home, alone, sometime between 3:30 and 4:15 a.m. 4:15 a.m. The last alleged sighting. Jay claims to have watched Lauren from his window as she walked toward 11th Street and College Avenue, the last known intersection in her timeline. He says she walked alone, barefoot, into the early morning darkness. She was just 2 blocks from her apartment. And then she vanished. 4:30 a.m. The neighborhood shadow. A local resident later reports seeing a barefoot girl matching Lauren's description walking southbound. But no security footage confirms this. In fact, there's no footage of her ever leaving Jay's building at all. Not from the front, not from the back, not from any hallway camera. And just like that, she's gone. Friday morning, June 3rd, 2011. 9 a.m. Lauren's roommate wakes up and instantly feels something is off. Lauren hasn't returned. She hasn't answered texts. Her bed is untouched. She never came home. The roommate starts calling friends. 11 a.m. Panic sets in. Calls go to voicemail. No one seems to know where Lauren is. Her parents are notified. Police arrive by the afternoon. Posters begin going up that evening. Within hours, Lauren Spierer's face is everywhere in Bloomington. Within 48 hours, national media picks it up. CNN, NBC, and national networks begin covering the case. A Facebook group gains tens of thousands of followers. FBI agents are called in. Search parties begin combing rivers, woods, storm drains, and abandoned lots. A $250,000 reward is offered. And yet, not a single viable clue surfaces. June 6, 2011. Surveillance footage confirms timeline gaps. Police review all security footage from Smallwood and surrounding areas. The gaps begin to appear. No exit footage of Lauren. No sighting on College Avenue cameras. Only interior building clips. A girl walked out of frame and out of time. June 14th, the last cooperation. The men who were last seen with Lauren stop speaking to police. They hire lawyers. They issue no further public statements. They disappear from public view, just like Lauren. July 2011, cadaver dogs, hit on dumpster. Dogs alert to a large trash bin outside Corey Rossman's building, but it had already been emptied before the search began. Investigators scour the landfill for weeks. Nothing. 2013, bones are found in a nearby forest. Rumors ignite. Is this Lauren? Forensic results come in. Not her. Another false hope. 2015, a chilling parallel. Another IU student, Hannah Wilson, is abducted and murdered. The man responsible, Daniel Messel, has a violent criminal history. He lived near Bloomington in 2011. He drove a car that matched the one seen circling near Lauren's last known location, but no official connection is made, and Messel never speaks about Lauren. 2021, 10 years missing. Lauren's case becomes part of campus safety programs across the country. Her parents release a statement. Someone knows. We beg you. Say something. Yet still, no arrests, no new evidence, no trace of Lauren Spierer. A girl disappears barefoot in a college town full of cameras. She leaves behind her belongings, her friends, and a timeline riddled with silence. The last image of her is burned into Bloomington's memory. Walking into the dark, alone, and somewhere between 4:30 a.m. and sunrise, she was erased. Every missing person leaves a trail, but what if the trail is broken on purpose? We want you to follow the clues with us. As we lay them out, ask yourself, what's missing? What doesn't line up? What would you do if this was your friend, your daughter, you? Clue number 1, the vanished belongings. Lauren left Kilroy's sports bar at 2:30 a.m., but her shoes, phone, and purse, her literal lifelines, were still inside the bar. Let that sink in. No girl walks barefoot through dark streets voluntarily, especially not alone, especially not drunk, especially not without her phone. So ask yourself, was she coming back? Was she lured away? Or did someone else decide she wouldn't need those things? Clue number 2, the bruise that had no story. At around 3:30 a.m., Lauren arrived at Jay Rosenbaum's apartment. He noticed she had a bruise under her eye, clear, visible, fresh. He said she fell. Others said she was shoved. But Lauren never said where it came from. And here's the catch. In that condition, with that bruise, why did no one try to keep her from leaving? Why did Jay let her walk away alone, barefoot in the dark? She told him she was fine. But did he believe that? Or was it just easier not to get involved? Clue number 3, the punch and the convenient amnesia. This one's infamous. Corey Rossman, one of the last people with Lauren, was punched in the face around 2:45 a.m. He later told investigators, and his lawyer confirmed, that he remembered nothing after that moment. Nothing. No conversations. No goodbyes. No final image of Lauren walking away. Convenient or calculated. And why, if he cared about her, didn't he follow up the next morning? Did he ever call her? Ask about her? Or did he already know not to? Clue number 4, the friends who went silent. 5 young men were with Lauren in the hours before she disappeared. Not one called 911. Not one joined the searches. Not one seemed alarmed the next day. Then, within days, all 5 stopped cooperating with police. They hired lawyers. They refused interviews. And they walked away untouched. Do you believe that's normal? That friends, real friends, would behave that way? Or were they protecting each other from something they couldn't afford to say out loud? Clue number 5, the surveillance that never showed her leaving. The area around 11th and College is full of cameras. Lauren was supposedly last seen walking that direction, but no footage exists. Not of her leaving the building. Not of her walking down the street. None. 0. Gone. So, where did she go? Did the cameras malfunction? Were they deleted? Or was she never seen on that street because she never made it that far? Would you check every frame? Because someone should have. Clue number 6, the dumpster and the cadaver dogs. A week after her disappearance, cadaver dogs were brought in. They alerted on a large trash bin outside Corey Rossman's building, but by then it had already been emptied. The contents? Hauled to a landfill. Investigators spent days combing through tons of waste. They found nothing. But you have to ask, why did the dogs alert in the first place? Was something there and removed before sunrise? Or was that the exact moment Lauren's trail ended? Clue number 7, the phone that never spoke again. Lauren's phone was never recovered. No last message. No emergency ping. Nothing. It's like someone took it and shut it off forever. Not dropped, not forgotten, erased. What kind of disappearance doesn't even leave a signal behind? And if her phone was in the bar, who made sure she couldn't ever call for help? Clue number 8, the man in the hoodie. Around 4:30 a.m., a resident reported a hooded man pacing near the apartment complex. Watching. Waiting. No one identified him. No one stepped forward. He wasn't a student. He wasn't known to neighbors. He just vanished. Was he following her? Was he waiting for her to be alone? Or was he never supposed to be noticed at all? Clue number 9, the boyfriend who stayed away. Lauren's boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe, was in New York that night. He was devastated, at least that's what everyone said, but he never joined the public search, never spoke to the media, never confronted the men who were last with Lauren. Grief looks different for everyone, but silence speaks volumes. Did he know something? Suspect someone? Or was his distance an escape from guilt or truth? Clue number 10, the dreams, the whispers, the apparitions. Then came the sightings. A barefoot girl seen near College Avenue, silent, head down, vanishing when approached. A neighbor swore Lauren stood at the foot of her bed on the 3rd anniversary of her disappearance. She blinked, and the figure was gone. Psychics reached out. One drew a map eerily similar to where Hannah Wilson would be found years later. Dreams, visions, chills in the night. Are these trauma-fueled projections or echoes of something or someone who still hasn't found rest? Ask yourself, If you were Lauren, would you have walked away alone that night? If you were her friend, would you have let her go? If you were with her, would you have called the next morning? Every piece of this case feels slightly off, like a puzzle, where the edge pieces don't quite fit, where timelines shift, where memories are fogged, and where the silence feels heavier than truth. Lauren didn't just vanish. She left behind a trail of contradictions, and you have to wonder, is the reason we haven't found her because someone made sure we never could? What really happened to Lauren Spierer? When facts collapse, theories rise. And in Lauren's case, they rise like shadows. Lauren didn't just disappear. She fractured reality for everyone who followed her trail. And when a disappearance leaves no body, no signal, and no crime scene, we're left with something worse than fear. Possibility. Let's walk through them. Theory 1, the accidental overdose and the pact of silence. This is the most grounded, and for many, the most painfully believable theory. Lauren had a known heart condition, long QT syndrome. That night, she reportedly mixed alcohol with drugs, Adderall, cocaine, and alcohol. A deadly cocktail for anyone, let alone someone with a vulnerable heart. What if she collapsed? What if one of the boys panicked? And what if, instead of calling for help, they decided to hide her death? The rest falls like dominoes. No 911 call. A body quickly moved to a dumpster. A trash pickup scheduled just hours later. Cadaver dogs alerting at that very bin. And after that, a handshake, a promise, a shared secret buried in garbage and guilt. Do you believe it? Because if that's what happened, then 5 people didn't just let Lauren die. They let her family search for a ghost. Theory 2, the stranger abduction, a predator waiting in the dark. What if Lauren did make it to the street? What if, just 2 blocks from home, someone was waiting? Multiple residents reported a suspicious white truck circling the area near 11th and College. Lauren was barefoot, alone, drunk, vulnerable. The perfect target, the perfect moment. And once she was in that vehicle, she could have been out of Bloomington in minutes. No screams, no cameras, no goodbye. That's what makes this theory so chilling. It doesn't require a conspiracy, just opportunity and evil. Some even connect this theory to Daniel Messel, the man convicted of murdering IU student Hannah Wilson 4 years later. He lived nearby in 2011. He drove a similar vehicle, but he's never been tied to Lauren. Still, does lightning strike twice in the same town? Theory 3, the friends know more than they're saying. This theory sits at the center of online obsession. The group of men who last saw Lauren refused polygraphs, lawyered up within days, never rejoined the search, never faced charges. Some didn't even attend vigils. Others moved away. Why? If you believe this theory, the reason is simple. They know what happened. Maybe not all of them. Maybe just one. But the rest? They made a pact. A pact that silence was safer than justice. Can 5 people carry a lie for over a decade? Reddit thinks yes. So does half of Bloomington. Do you? Theory 4. The boyfriend's distance. Jesse Wolfe, Lauren's boyfriend, was out of town that night. But many have questioned his emotional distance. He didn't participate in the search. He didn't speak out publicly. He didn't confront the friends who were last with her. Was he just grieving differently? Or did he suspect something, or someone he couldn't bear to name? Some suggest Jesse had inside knowledge and chose not to speak. Others say it's projection, assigning blame to the only person we expected to scream louder. What do you think? Does silence mean guilt or just heartbreak? Theory 5. The serial killer among them. Enter Daniel Messel, convicted in 2015 for the brutal murder of IU student Hannah Wilson. Like Lauren, Hannah was young, white, petite. She vanished after a night out drinking. Her body was found in a remote area. Messel lived nearby. His car matches the one seen near Lauren's last known location. His phone records? Suspicious. But here's the twist. There's no evidence tying him to Lauren. No DNA. No confession. Still, people wonder, could Lauren have been his first victim or one of many? Theory 6. Human trafficking. The nightmare behind the curtain. Some believe Lauren wasn't killed. She was taken. Bloomington sits along key trafficking routes in the Midwest. Lauren was petite, intoxicated, alone, outside at the perfect time between bar close and sunrise. She fit the exact target profile for organized traffickers. She had no phone, no protection, and no memory of what might have happened next. But after all these years, no verified sightings, no recoveries, just theories. Still, some argue a professional abduction would leave no trail, and that's exactly what this case looks like. Theory 7. The residual haunting. A soul that never left. Now we drift into the whispers. Over the years, countless people have reported dreams of Lauren walking silently past them, a barefoot girl standing under the streetlight at 11th and College, a shadow seen pacing outside Jay's apartment, always just out of reach. Even psychics reached out to Lauren's family. One drew a map eerily close to where Hannah Wilson's body was later found. Could Lauren be tethered to the place she disappeared? A psychic once said, "She never left. She's still walking, but no one can see her." Is it trauma playing tricks on the mind, or a presence that refuses to be forgotten? Theory 8, the blended theory: silence, accident, and protection. For many, the truth may be a hybrid. Lauren overdosed. Someone panicked. Others covered it up. And then everyone stayed quiet. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't planned. It was a terrible mistake, followed by cowardice. And now, it's too late to speak. Too risky. Too heavy. So the story stays buried until someone breaks, or until no one ever does. Which theory speaks to you? Is this a case of panic and cover-up? A predator lurking in the dark? Or something deeper? A silence that was chosen, protected, and never let go? Drop your theories below. We read every single one. And remember, every theory is a story. And stories are how the forgotten stay alive. Because sometimes the truth is too terrifying to speak, so it becomes a whisper. The disappearance that never stopped speaking. Some stories don't just make headlines, they make shadows. And Lauren Spierer's isn't just a mystery, it's a warning, still whispered across campuses, families, and digital memory. The fragile illusion of campus safety. Before June 2011, Indiana University was considered safe. Parents slept easier, students walked home barefoot from bars. College was freedom, not fear. But Lauren's disappearance shattered that illusion. She did everything we're told not to do. And still, no one expected her to vanish. Now, colleges have rewritten their safety handbooks. Universities cite Lauren's story during orientation. And the phrase, "text me when you get home," isn't just casual anymore. It's coded survival. Lauren's face became more than a missing poster. It became a checkpoint in every young woman's mind. The privilege of silence. The young men with Lauren that night came from wealthy families. By the time the media swarmed Bloomington, they already had lawyers, already had answers rehearsed or withheld. They never faced charges. They never rejoined the search. They never spoke again. And yet, they got to move on. For many, Lauren's case became a symbol of how wealth protects silence, of how justice doesn't always bend toward truth, but toward who can afford to avoid it. Ask yourself if the roles were reversed, if Lauren were the last person to see them alive, would she have been allowed to walk away without questions? The true crime generation awakens. Lauren vanished in 2011, right at the dawn of social media sleuthing. Reddit threads lit up, YouTube timelines emerged. TikTok creators retold her story, asking new questions, some helpful, some reckless. People who had never stepped foot in Indiana became obsessed investigators. They tracked the dumpsters around Smallwood Plaza. They mapped the last footsteps. They recreated the timeline, minute by minute. Because when answers go silent, the internet starts speaking for them. Lauren's case didn't just shape a generation of true crime consumers, it created them. The haunting of a town that pretends to forget. Bloomington, Indiana has tried to move on, but whispers remain. Some students say they feel a chill walking past College Avenue at night. Others say they've dreamed of Lauren Dash, barefoot, silent, looking over her shoulder as if something's still behind her. Her presence isn't just historical, it's emotional, atmospheric, lingering. Local bars changed their policies. Campus security was quietly overhauled. And still, every year on June 3rd, the town holds its breath. Not just for Lauren, but for the truth that never came. A family that refused to let her disappear. Lauren's parents never gave up. Not in year 1, not in year 10, not now. They flew in for every sighting. They spoke at vigils. They posted flyers themselves when no one else would. They turned grief into action, pain into persistence. Robert Spierer once said, "Someone knows, we just want them to speak." And in saying that, he gave voice to every parent who's ever lost a child to silence. A digital spirit in the machine, in forums, comment sections, and live stream chats. Lauren's name still pops up, not as a cold case, but as a symbol, a ghost, a code. Users claim she was the first case that truly got to me. I dreamt about her once. She looked right at me. I used to walk alone at night. I don't anymore. She became part of the collective online consciousness, a haunting we chose to remember, because forgetting felt like betrayal. The story that repeats without ending. Lauren's disappearance isn't unique, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Since 2011, hundreds of young women have vanished under similar circumstances. The stories blur together: a night out, a final message, a missing phone, no body. But Lauren's case remains the template, the one we whisper when we say, "Be careful, don't end up like her." Some cases are puzzles, some are warnings, and some, like Lauren's, become echoes that live in the gaps between facts. She wasn't just lost, she was absorbed by systems, by silence, by something or someone that still hasn't been named. And maybe the scariest part, we're still speaking for her because no one else ever did. She walked barefoot into the summer dark and never touched the earth again. Lauren Spierer didn't vanish without a trace. She left behind questions, silence, and shadows that never quite fit back together. There were friends who stopped talking, surveillance that stopped recording, and a timeline that folded in on itself like a page someone wasn't meant to read. They say she was last seen at 4:30 a.m., but no one saw her leave. They say she was just a girl who drank too much. But somehow that girl became a myth the moment she stepped into the dark. What happened that night? Was it a terrible accident wrapped in fear? A cover-up protected by privilege? A predator watching from the trees? Or something that lives outside logic? Something that remembers her when no one else can? And what's more chilling than a mystery? A silence that's been practiced, rehearsed, repeated, because silence isn't passive, it's protective. And in this case, it's telling. Somewhere out there, Lauren's story is still walking, not in her voice, but in the voices of the people who refuse to let her disappear. People like you, people still watching, still asking. If this story haunted you, if it made you pause, if it made you look at your own campus, your own night walk, your own group of friends just a little differently, share it. Let Lauren's name echo louder than the silence that followed her. Drop your theories below. We read every one. And in an upcoming video, we'll feature some of your insights, your questions, your chills, your whispers. Tap subscribe, because we tell the stories the world tries to forget. And you never know which mystery will speak next. Be careful what you believe, because some stories don't want to be solved. They want to be remembered, repeated, rewritten from the inside. This has been Whims and Whispers, where every silence has a sound, and every whisper leads somewhere darker. Until next time, be careful where you walk. Be careful who walks behind you. And never assume the night is empty, because sometimes the shadows are listening.